A major Dragon Ball announcement is about to be made very soon, and we can already celebrate its long-awaited return. The Dragon Ball Super manga is going to arrive, breaking the internet. Is everyone ready? Let's go, guys. Come in strong as well. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the notification bell. A major Dragon Ball announcement is about to happen, and everything indicates that the most anticipated return of the franchise has finally entered its countdown. The expectation grows with each passing day, and the atmosphere among fans is one of early celebration. The Dragon Ball Super manga is ready to return at full force, promising immediate impact, intense discussions, and enough buzz to literally break the internet. After so much time filled with speculation, silence, and theories, the moment seems to have arrived. The question now is no longer whether the return will happen, but whether everyone is truly prepared for what comes next. Dragon Ball is about to remind the world why it continues to be an absolute phenomenon. The announcement is surrounded by an atmosphere of anticipation that recalls the great moments in Dragon Ball's history. The circulating information points to a special event in Japan, organized precisely to celebrate the franchise's legacy, bringing together producers, voice actors, and official representatives on a stage designed for major revelations. This is not a simple press conference or a social media post, but a presentation prepared to have global impact, with a live broadcast to the entire world, allowing fans from every country to follow every detail in real time. In this setting, the lights go out, the audience falls silent, and classic images begin to appear on the big screens, recalling Goku's journey from the very beginning to the most recent events. The atmosphere makes it clear that this is not just a tribute to the past, but a direct bridge to the future. It is at this moment that those responsible for the franchise take the stage and make it clear that Dragon Ball still has a lot to deliver, setting the stage for the confirmation of the return of Dragon Ball Super, especially the manga, which comes back as the center of attention. The announcement, made at this large-scale Japanese event, quickly spreads across social media, specialized websites, and fan communities, creating an immediate effect of worldwide buzz. In just a few minutes, theories begin to emerge, videos are analyzed frame by frame, and the general feeling is that Dragon Ball has once again taken its rightful place, that of a cultural phenomenon capable of stopping the internet. The stage of the announcement becomes historic, not only because of what was said, but because of the symbolism of officially marking the new chapter of a work that has never stopped evolving. So far, there has been no concrete leak that can be treated as official confirmation. What exists is a set of rumors that gradually began circulating, mainly on social networks and forums dedicated to Dragon Ball, fueled by the strategic silence of the production companies and the proximity of a major announcement. Some images started being shared as if they were early materials, supposedly linked to Japanese magazine covers or promotional illustrations, but none of them were validated by official channels such as Shueisha, Toei Animation, or V-Jump itself. What draws attention is that these images follow a recurring pattern within the community, artwork that mixes elements already known from the recent manga, such as Goku in Ultra Instinct and Gohan in his current form, with framings that seem plausible enough to generate doubt. Still, when analyzed more carefully, it becomes clear that there are no reliable metadata nor confirmation of origin, which reinforces the idea that they may be edits, fan concepts, or even old materials reused out of context. Behind the scenes, the feeling is that the production is being extremely careful to avoid real leaks. Dragon Ball has always suffered from information escaping ahead of time, and precisely because of that, when a big announcement is planned, control tends to be much stricter. This explains why, despite so much movement and expectation, nothing visually solid has emerged so far. The overall atmosphere resembles other important moments in the franchise, when fans felt that something big was about to happen, but only became certain when the announcement was officially made on the right stage. Everything indicates that, if there are images or trailers prepared, they are being saved for this specific moment, when they will be revealed in an impactful way and without any room for doubt. Until then, what circulates should be seen as speculation, fueling anticipation but not replacing the confirmation everyone is waiting for. Well, let's start from where the manga ended, after great battles and Goku finally returning to Earth. The final chapter of Dragon Ball Super works less as a definitive ending and more as a pause filled with meaning, almost as if the manga itself were taking a deep breath before moving on to something bigger. The story focuses on the post-conflict atmosphere, when the major immediate threats have already been pushed away, but the sense of danger remains latent. There is no large-scale destruction nor a villain in the spotlight at that moment, and this is intentional. The focus is on the characters, on the current state of their powers, and, above all, on what has changed within them after everything they have experienced. Goku appears more observant than ever. He is not just training by instinct or recklessly seeking a stronger enemy. There is a more attentive, almost analytical look, especially when it comes to Gohan. The friendly confrontation between the two is not treated as simple fan service, but as a clear statement that something has shifted in the balance of power. Gohan, with his current strength, is no longer just the Saiyan of limitless potential who could surpass everyone someday. He has become someone who has already reached a real, concrete level, capable of making Goku acknowledge that there is a different kind of strength there, not based solely on training or battle instinct, but on emotion, responsibility, and a type of outburst that no other Saiyan manifests in the same way. Vegeta, in turn, observes everything with calculated silence. His pride has not disappeared, but it has been refined. He understands that his rivalry with Goku remains central to his evolution, but he also realizes that the scenario has become more complex. It is no longer just about two warriors competing to see who can go further. New paths of power are emerging, each with its own logic. This is implied in the way he looks at Gohan, not as someone inferior or dependent, but as a real variable within the future of the battles yet to come. Meanwhile, the narrative leaves small clues scattered around, almost imperceptible, about the greatest shadow looming over the universe. Frieza does not appear directly in the spotlight in this chapter, but his presence is felt as a distant and silent threat. The reader already knows that he has reached an absurd level, something that completely escapes known standards, and the fact that the manga does not bring him into immediate action reinforces the danger even more. Frieza is not in a hurry. He no longer acts as he once did. Now he observes, calculates, and waits for the moment when his move will carry absolute weight. This final chapter also reinforces an important idea. Dragon Ball Super has entered a phase where there is no longer a single path to supreme power. Goku continues to explore Ultra Instinct as a state that adapts to his Saiyan nature, seeking balance between serenity and impulse. Vegeta follows a more aggressive route, linked to the acceptance of ego, destruction, and the will to surpass limits through his own identity. Gohan represents something completely different, a power born from extreme emotion, from the need to protect, and from an explosion held back for years. These three paths coexist, and the manga makes it clear that the future will revolve around the clash between these philosophies. What may come from this points to an arc that is far more psychological and strategic than simply physical. The next major conflict will hardly be resolved solely through new transformations appearing abruptly. The threat that takes shape demands choices, sacrifices, and possibly unexpected alliances. Frieza, now more patient and aware of his own dominance, may very well force Goku and Vegeta to face not only his power, but the very limitations of their individual philosophies. At the same time, Gohan may be placed in a central position, not as Goku's replacement, but as someone who represents a different answer to chaos. There is also a clear possibility that the manga will once again expand its focus beyond Earth. Other universes, gods, and entities that still observe Universe 7 as an unstable field may return to the scene, especially if Frieza decides to act on a larger scale. The divine balance, so fragile since the Tournament of Power, may be tested once again, opening space for conflicts that go beyond simple battles, involving cosmic rules and irreversible consequences. This final chapter, therefore, does not deliver answers, but plants questions. It reaffirms that Dragon Ball Super is not heading toward a calm ending, but instead is preparing the ground for one of the most intense periods of the franchise. The silence, the looks, and the restrained conversations say more than any blow. Everything indicates that the next step will not only be stronger, but more decisive, and when the story resumes its pace, the impact tends to be much greater precisely because the manga made a point of showing that everyone now knows what is at stake. Well, one arc that could come next in the manga would be Planet Sadala, and the emergence of rumors about Vegeta gaining more focus further reinforces this idea. The idea of an arc set on Planet Sadala arises almost naturally when observing the current moment of the manga and the space Vegeta has been gaining in the narrative. After the most recent events, the focus is no longer solely on immediate external threats, but on consequences, identities, and individual paths of power. It is precisely in this context that Planet Sadala ceases to be just a distant concept introduced during the Tournament of Power and begins to become a logical stage for the next major development of the story. The storyline begins with Vegeta feeling something that he himself takes time to understand. It is neither a clear premonition nor a divine warning, but a persistent unease, a sense of responsibility that never existed before. For the first time, he thinks not only about the Saiyans of Earth or his rivalry with Goku, but about an entire people who carry the same blood as his, still alive, organized, and in full evolution. Planet Sadala is no longer just a reflection of what Planet Vegeta once was, but proof that Saiyans can exist without the shadow of destruction and tyranny. The narrative moves forward when Kaba enters the scene once again, now more mature and more aware of his role as a warrior and as a symbol of his race. He seeks out Vegeta not as an insecure student, but as someone who understands that Universe 6 is on the verge of imbalance. Threats are emerging at the edges of the universe, forces that view Sadala as a strategic target, whether because of the raw potential of the Saiyans or the symbolic value of subjugating a planet that represents stability in a historically fragile universe. Kaba does not ask for help out of weakness, but out of foresight. He knows that Vegeta is the only one who can understand the weight of leading a people born to fight. When Vegeta agrees to go to Sadala, the journey is not treated as a simple mission. It carries a silent, emotional weight. Upon setting foot on that planet, he is confronted with living cities, with Saiyans who train not out of a thirst for conquest, but out of duty, protection, and honor. There is no Frieza, no oppressive armies, no constant fear of extinction. This confronts Vegeta in a way no battle ever has. He sees they're everything his people could have been, and that realization strikes him harder than any blow. The arc develops by showing Vegeta assuming, albeit reluctantly, a role as mentor and symbol. Not as a king in the traditional sense, but as someone who carries the memory of what the Saiyans were and of what they must never become again. His training with Kaba and other elite warriors of Sadala is not limited to techniques or transformations. He teaches mindset, control, and above all, how to accept one's own nature without being dominated by it. It is here that the power of destruction gains new meaning. Vegeta begins to understand that destroying is not merely erasing something from existence, but cutting away excess, eliminating internal weaknesses, and breaking cycles. This arc reinforces Vegeta like never before, not only as Goku's rival, but as a complete character, filled with history, guilt, learning, and purpose. And by doing so, the manga prepares the ground for something even greater, because it makes it clear that when the next great threat emerges, it will not face only powerful individuals, but entire peoples who have learned from their mistakes. Planet Sadala ceases to be merely a promising setting and becomes a definitive milestone in the evolution of Dragon Ball Super.